Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Beatles Forever, the Beatles on this date. We have some interesting stories. Let's start with newly discovered Beatles tape sells for £9,800. And this happened on a Wednesday, the 6th of August, in 2008. A newly discovered tape of the Beatles laughing and chatting during an early recording session sold at auction yesterday for £9,800 or $23,000. Cameo auctioneers in Midham, Berkshire, said the 30-minute reel-to-reel tape was recorded in 1964 and featured the Beatles recording I'll Follow the Sun and a number of other songs. The item was unearthed in the attic of a man who had previously worked in the music industry. The auction house said the son wished to remain anonymous and would only say that the tape was found in the north of England. Cameo says the tape sold to an internet bidder who had requested an anonymity. It had previously been estimated to sell between £8,000 and £12,000. The tape features John Lennon and Paul McCartney collapsing into laughter as they try to complete I'll Follow the Sun. It also contains versions of songs including I Feel Fine, I'm a Loser, and She's a Woman. The tape is double-sided and running at 7.5 inches per second lasts approximately 30 minutes. It was sold without copyright, broadcast rights, performer's consent, or any other reproductive rights. And the track listing is as follows. On side 1, Don't Put Me Down Like This, I Feel Fine, She's a Woman, Everybody's Trying to Be My Baby, Honey Don't, I'll Follow the Sun. Side 2, I'll Follow the Sun, I'm a Loser, I'll Follow the Sun, Too Much Monkey Business, Nitty Gritty, Something's Got a Hold of Me, and I Shall Not Be Moved. Next, John Lennon and Yoko Ono record messages for Radio Free London. This happened on a Friday, the 6th of August, in 1971. John Lennon and Yoko Ono recording messages for pirate radio station Radio Free London on the 6th of August, 1971. They discussed the recent sentences handed down to the editors of Oz following their obscenity trial and performed a version of The End of the Road with Lennon on acoustic guitar. Then we have George Harrison dines at Ravi Shankar's house. This happened on Sunday, the 6th of August, 1967. On the sixth day of his U.S. trip, George Harrison paid a visit to Ashish, the son of Sarod player Ali Akbar Khan in Los Angeles. The others in his party, his wife Patty, Neil Aspinall, and Magic Alex Martis, went to Disneyland. In the evening, they regrouped and dined at the LA home of Ravi Shankar. Now we have Brian Epstein holds a press conference. This happened Saturday, the 6th of August, 1966. In an attempt to diffuse the controversy surrounding John Lennon's comments that the Beatles were more popular than Jesus, the group's manager, Brian Epstein, held a special press conference. Despite suffering from glandular fever in the morning, he had cut his holiday in Port Merion, North Wales, and flown from England to the U.S. Epstein was fearful that the Beatles' imminent U.S. tour might have to be canceled, as by this point public outcry had grown to the extent that 30 U.S. radio stations had banned the Beatles' records. The press conference was held at the Sheraton Hotel in Manhattan, New York. Epstein began by reading a statement approved by Lennon before taking questions from the press. The quote which John Lennon made to a London columnist nearly 3 months ago has been quoted and misrepresented entirely out of context of the article, which was in fact highly complimentary to Lennon as a person. It was understood by him to be exclusive to the Evening Standard. It was not anticipated that it would be displayed out of context and in such a manner as it was in an American teenage magazine. Lennon didn't mean to boast about the Beatles' fame. He meant to point out that the Beatles' effect appeared to be more immediate one upon certainly the younger generation. John is deeply concerned and regrets that people with certain religious beliefs should have been offended. Question. We're wondering whether you're going to change the itinerary of the Beatles to avoid areas where the radio stations are now burning their records and their pictures. And then Brian said, this is highly unlikely. I've spoken to many of the promoters this morning. When I leave here, I'll have a meeting with several of the promoters who are anxious that the concert should not be canceled at all. Actually, If any of the promoters were so concerned and wished that the concerts be canceled, I wouldn't in fact stand in their way. Now we have Radio, the Lennon and McCartney Songbook. This happened on a Saturday, the 6th of August, 1966. John Lennon and Paul McCartney gave interviews on this day for a 1-hour BBC radio show titled The Lennon and McCartney Songbook. The interview was to have taken place at Kenwood, Lennon's home in Weybridge, but was switched to McCartney's house at 7 Cavendish Avenue, London. Producer Derek Chenery and interviewer Keith Fordyce were present from the BBC. Lennon and McCartney discussed more than 15 cover versions of their songs, including recordings by Peggy Lee, Ella Fitzgerald, and the Mamas and the Papas. The interview took place from 4 to 6 p.m. with breaks for tea. The recording was interrupted in places by McCartney's sheepdog puppy, Martha. The Lennon and McCartney Songbook was first broadcast on the BBC Light program service from 4:30 to 5:30 on the 29th of August, 1966, the day of the Beatles' final concert. A 13-minute edit was also sent on vinyl disc to overseas radio stations by the BBC's transcription service. This version was without the music and was renamed Songwriters Extraordinary, Lennon and McCartney. Now we have UK album release Help. This happened on a Friday, the 6th of August, 1965. The Beatles' fifth UK album Help was released on this day as Parlour PMC 1255 mono and PCS 3071 stereo. Following the structure of the previous year's A Hard Day's Night, the first side of Help featured 7 songs from the Beatles record feature film, and the flip side contained another 7 songs, including Paul McCartney's instant classic Yesterday, recorded over the same period. Help entered the UK charts on the 14th of August and was immediate charts topper on pre-orders alone. It spent 9 weeks at number 1 and remained on the chart for 37 consecutive weeks. In our last story, the Beatles asked Pete Best to join. This happened on a Saturday, the 6th of August, 1960. With their Saturday night residency at the Grosvenor Ballroom canceled due to local complaints, the Beatles had some time off. On this night, they went to Mona Best's Casbah Coffee Club, where they saw the Blackjacks playing. The group had Mona's son, Pete Best, playing a brand new drum kit. The Blackjacks were on the point of splitting up, so the Beatles suggested to Pete that he join them for their first trip to Hamburg. Best was interested in the proposal and agreed to audition for them on the following Friday. We had heard about musicians getting gigs in Stuttgart, where there were American Army bases. We knew that those kinds of gigs were available around Germany, so it was an exciting thought. The story behind our going there was that another Liverpool group, Derry and the Seniors, had given up their jobs to do a gig for Larry Parnes, and when they didn't get it, they were all really annoyed, so they decided to go to London to beat Larry up. Alan Williams said to them, "If you're going to London, you should take your instruments." He drove them down and got them into the 21s, the club where Tommy Steele had been discovered. They didn't beat up Larry Parnes, but they did go down well at the club. Bruno Koschmider, a German promoter, saw them there and hired them for his own club, the Kaiser Keller in Hamburg, and they were there for a couple of months. He must have really liked them, because he got in touch with Alan Williams and said, "We want another Liverpool band to play at the Indra." Alan Williams offered the gig to us, but he said, "The fellow wants a 5-piece. We need another person," since there were only 3 of us and Stewart. We were excited, but we thought, Paul isn't really the drummer. Where do we get one from? Then I remembered a guy I met who had been given a drum kit for Christmas. His name was Pete Best. The Casbah Club was in his basement. And George Harrison said this in Anthology. I will end the video here. I want to wish everybody a good day, and tune in again soon for the Beatles Forever, the Beatles on this date. Thank you. Bye.